want to be left alone to count my money, which becomes more and more money every day. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Ganata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff. Oh, is it you? Great.
I thought it was me.
Great.
Is it you?
I don't know, man. Here's a little behind the scenes for people. We've had a weird couple of weeks, and so we haven't been recording as much. So we may not know whose turn it is. Should we do we rock scissors paper?
Go? I'm ready to go. I could go. You could go. What do you want to do?
What's yours about?
Mine's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think mine's pretty good.
Mine's
is yours good?
Mine's pretty good. It's like if you've got a lot of faith in yours, I say go with yours.
Well, I guess I'll go with mine.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, Anthony.
Here, I'll show you.
We can base this.
I'll show you.
Oh, I mean, we can do yours.
Yeah, you like this one?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
We can do mine next week. It's fine.
All right. So we're gonna do mine, and we knew that the whole time. And I'll definitely edit that part out. I will 100% edit that
Putting
part
in the
out.
work to make it seamless.
That's what I do every week or so. Jeff.
Yeah.
Marijuana. Cannabis.
Yeah.
THC. The devil's lettuce. Jazz cigarettes. Black gold. Texas tea. The truffle shuffle. We've all heard of it. These are all names that people use for marijuana, and I know because I'm a cool guy who smokes marijuana.
So cool. Look at how cool you are.
No. I don't. I mean, I'm going to let it go.
It's impressive that you wore your giant gold chain with the marijuana leaf on it today.
Well, sure, because it goes with everything. That's why I wore it. No, I used to, but I don't anymore because Jeff, all the marijuana does for me is make me sleepy.
Sleepy?
That's it.
That's how I am with alcohol. People are like, you want to drink? I'm like, do you want me to pass out on your couch?
Okay.
No, I don't want to drink.
Number one, I can tell you that is provably false as somebody who has had drinks with you before. You don't immediately get sleepy. There's 2 hours where you're definitely party Jeff, and then you get sleepy. But I just turn into a bump on a log. And some people want that. Some people need that, right? Like some people are like, I just need my brain to chill out, or I have mental stuff, I have physical stuff, pain management, whatever, and it does good stuff for me. For me, it's never done anything good. For me, it's just kind of like, well, I better put something good on TV before I take this single puff of the devil's lettuce, because the moment I do, I won't even want to work remote. I'll just want to lie down and watch whatever is already on the television. And if it's bad, I'll probably just lie there and think, man, this is pretty bad.
If only there was some way to change this.
If only there was some way to change this. This sucks. Somebody help, I'll think to myself. But I won't scream it because that takes too much effort.
Yeah. And who would hear, by the way?
Who would hear it? Who would even hear it? My dog? And then my dog looks and goes, oh, man, he's doing that again.
Yeah.
Look, and by that, my dog means screaming for help. I don't know. Do you you're like an edibles guy, right?
Yes.
And for you, the edible is, what do you get out of the edible? What are you going for?
It is that calming, just sense of sort of being okay and losing anxiety and just feeling good. And I like, eating some yummy yums along with it, getting some delicious treats. And I feel that it accentuates every sense, right? So if you like something, you'll like it even more. I think that it's just like it adds a +1 to. So as well, I'll have like a delicious, yummy cookie or whatever.
I have a prescription drug that's given to me by a licensed physician for that, Jeff. I'm not a drug addict like you, and so You smoking the hotsy totsy from some fucking kid on the street who wears Jinkos.
I never smoke, by the way. The idea of putting smoke into my lungs to me is repulsive.
I still have
of any kind.
I still have. I think it's in here. I have like vapes, like single and double use vapes from like when my mom comes and visits because she loves a vape.
What a lie! What a lie the vape was,
dude. The vape they never lied. Hey, they never lied about what the vape was.
The vape was like, hey, isn't smoking awful? Like the vape is like. Nothing bad about the smoke, and it's like, well, that's not accurate at all. None of that's accurate.
They were just like, hey, it's not a cigarette, and it's also not regulated yet.
Yeah.
That's all they ever said.
Oh yeah, you're worried about secondhand smoke? Use a vape. It's like, no. I still have to smell your vape smoke, dude.
No, now I'm inhaling your smoke, and it smells like cotton candy, but it still causes cancer.
Yeah, it's awful.
And also, I don't like the smell of chemical cotton candy, so this is worse than it's ever been. But a lot of people, when they smoke, you probably know a lot of people like this. I do as well. They smoke because they say it gets the creative juices flowing, makes them more creative.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. You hear about that all the time.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever worked with somebody who on a creative project who is like this, but it's the sort of person who shows up and is like, okay, yeah, let's get started. Let's get started writing or shooting or whatever it is we're going to do. Just give me a minute. I need to smoke first.
Because I've never had that experience, but I can imagine it easily. I
just need to smoke first, or like you're backstage at a show and like somebody's like, I'm just gonna get high real quick before we go on because that's how I do my best shit. And you're just like, all right, man, I don't know. It feels like it just makes you 20 minutes late. But because you were here on time, but now we can't get started but that's all right. That's all right. But a lot of people think that it makes them more creative. And I got to say, a lot of the more creative people that I know do smoke. Mm-hmm. And so I've often wondered if for some people it really does work. Does cannabis use make you a more creative person?
Right.
And so this is very exciting. The Journal of Applied Psychology wanted to know the same thing.
Oh, so we had a scientific approach to this. They're like, okay, we went to the Malcolm in the Middle writer's room. I don't know. Malcolm. I pulled that one out. I don't know where that came from.
The biggest stoner writer's room in history. Malcolm in the Middle. Let me tell you something. They were getting there.
Dude,
it's sad.
Have you ever watched an episode of that show? It's like, woo!
It's sad, honestly, the amount of drug use there was on Malcolm. We lost a lot of comedy people who would have been comedy's greatest.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that. Boy.
Oh boy. I promise I'm not stoned. I promise.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jeff. They wanted to check it out and see. And so they brought in a group of people. This was done by the University of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to know. They said, cannabis is legal in Washington now. Let's find out if this is actually helping people or making them, making them more creative the way they think it's making them more creative, essentially. And the way they did that is they ran two studies. The first thing they did is they brought in 191 participants who were randomly assigned to one of two groups, okay? One group of participants was asked to begin the study within 15 minutes of smoking. The second group was instructed to only begin the study if they hadn't used cannabis in the last 12 hours. And that group...
Hard to find in Washington State, though.
And let me tell you...
Difficult.
And that group was internally referred to as Group 1 and Group Lame.
Oh, dude. Are you here for the freaking weed study? Yeah, me too. Yeah, what group are you in?
Yes, I am in Group 2. Which group are you in? I have my paperwork right here. I made sure to make a copy of it, and it says that I am in Group 2.
I'm in Group. It says group fun on here. Group fun.
I did notice that, and I assumed that it had been a typo.
My group number is actually spelled out of pot leaves. It's just.
I did notice that, and I did call them last night to see if what the meaning of that was, and unfortunately, I called after business hours, and they did not have a voicemail, which always, it does not make me mad, but I will say that it seems like if you're going to run a professional business, you should have an after-hours voice message box for important paperwork.
Yeah, they don't have a voice message box, but they do have this box of donuts that I am going to obliterate later.
I already had my cheat day for the month.
Oh boy.
But what they wanted these people to do was basically do this creative thinking exercise. And one of the things that I thought when I heard this story is, how do you measure creativeness?
Yes. This is the flaw of approaching any question like this scientifically, because you have to have a measurable level of creative flow, right?
Mm-hmm. And how do you measure that?
I would venture to guess even the folks that you're describing who swear by cannabis as a method to unleash their creativity, I would bet even those folks would not say it happens every time, or that they're always, it's not just a magic button that you press that makes you instantly creative.
But also, if you ask them to quantify how they knew they were more creative, what would they tell you? Right? Yeah. They would, I don't know. It just feels like I'm more creative.
Yeah.
Right? It just feels like I'm more creative when it happens. I don't know.
Right.
So how do you know? And so that's the part of this that I was actually the most interested in, was how do you measure creativity? What are the studies and the sort of processes that science has for measuring creativity? Right. Because I am, of course, in group one. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm going to need to know your methodology for this. This seems highly unscientific, if I could be honest,
Right.
So the idea is that there's something called, the way that they do it is they try to measure a type of creativity known as divergent thinking.
Okay.
Divergent thinking basically is they handed everybody in this study a brick. And they were like, hey, in the amount of time allotted, think of as many different uses, as creative as you like, as weird as you want, as out there as you want. Think of as many uses for a brick as you can.
I love this. I actually love this. I love this. This is not what I would have come up with myself as the creativity test, but I kind of love it.
It's not bad, right?
It's pretty good. It's like that improv game, the prop game, where you're like given a prop and how many scenes can you make out of the one prop?
Well, and that's the thing, is they were trying to compare the level of creativity to the three people that science has recognized as the most creative people in history: Ryan Stiles, Colin Mockery, and Wayne Brady.
Yeah.
The three most creative people in human history. If you go to the University of Washington, there is a giant statue of the three of them holding up a hula hoop.
Yeah. No, I've been there. I've seen it.
Yeah, it's beautiful, really. It was a joint effort through the budgets of the theater department and the science department. And that's what makes it the most beautiful, having all of it working together.
They keep asking each other, whose budget is it anyway?
Going back to the story. So the idea is they had 4 minutes, come up with as many ideas for a brick as you can, and then provide a self-assessment of how creative you were.
Nailed it. Yeah. Like, how many? I got 4 brick ideas. I fucking rule.
I got 4 brick ideas. One of them is brick. The other one is part of a pile of bricks. The third one is building material. And the fourth one is brick. Okay, now I do see that I wrote brick twice, but like, let's say that I meant vertical brick for the last one.
Yeah, brick horizontal, brick vertical.
I fucking crushed it. But what they found was, the research assistants and a separate sample of 430 individuals recruited, viewed and rated the ideas that had been generated. Okay. So
can I say something before we go on real quick? We have done over 700 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
And I would say the majority of our episodes, we talk about some scientific study or another, you know?
Sure.
Oftentimes done on rats, oftentimes it's done on humans. I don't think I've ever heard a study that made me immediately go, I want to try that. I want to see how many brick ideas I could come up with. I really want to like take an hour and just go, how many uses of a brick can I come up with?
Jeff, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to start a stopwatch. I'm going to give you 1 minute.
A brick.
I'm going to give you. Okay, are you ready? It doesn't matter.
Cold sober.
You get a minute.
All right.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Brick.
Building material, a projectile, like a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
A test of strength.
Yeah. Okay.
Brick as a counterweight on some other larger machine.
Okay.
Brick as you grind it up into dust and use the dust, I guess.
For what? You have to say for what?
For what? Brick. It's not easy.
Use the dust for brick.
Dust, you're gonna make it into a different brick.
Cool. 15 seconds.
Paperweight. Fuck. This is not easy, dude. Brick.
3, 2. Time. All right.
Didn't do well.
All right. You got 7.
All right. Now, quick. Now get me stoned.
Now, wait, let me see what I can do. Okay. Going in 3, 2, 1, go. Doorstop. Pizza to make mini pizzas, to make pizza bagels. You use it as pizza stone.
It's good.
You put it in my dog's bed to scare my dog because my dog gets really frightened when weird things are in its bed. Raise my monitor up a few inches to make it eye level. I don't want to say any of the ones that you already said. Because paper, paperweight, but paperweight's one. I would draw a little face on it and make a friend like a Tom Hanks.
That's good. That's lateral thinking. That's good.
I would use it to, if you fill your fridge up more, it costs less energy to use your fridge. Likewise with your toilet tank. So that's 2 uses for environmental safety, and that's a minute.
You're crushing me.
You got 6. No, you got 6 and I got 8. So neither one of us did well.
Yeah. Well, and you would have gotten the ones I got because mine were obvious. You had a little more lateral thinking. I like that.
Oh, well, that's good. I appreciate it.
But you also had the benefit of sitting there while I was also thinking.
That's the thing, right? So who knows? Who knows who the more creative thinker is, even though one of us got 2 more points than the other.
Which one of us is more stoned than the other.
At any given moment. So everybody did that, but they had 4 minutes. Okay. So they sat for 4 minutes. They typed up all their ideas. And then then they rated themselves. And then those lists of ideas were given to a panel of 400 people.
Big Brick.
To Big Brick. And Big Brick was like, oh shit, they fell right into our hands.
This is the greatest idea we've ever had, to just Just crowdsource uses for bricks.
And one dude at the table of executives is like, I fucking told you, man. I fucking told you this was a good idea. So those 400 people then rated the creativity of those ideas. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When they asked everybody at the beginning of the study how they were feeling and if they would describe how they were feeling as happy or joyful.
Yeah.
Obviously, more people who were stoned said they felt happy or joyful.
Yeah.
Now, those who had consumed cannabis also rated their own ideas as more creative.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Now, the independent raters, the people who came in afterwards and didn't know which group was which, just rated cool ideas for bricks, said that, like, hey, the people who were stoned, their ideas weren't any better than the people who weren't.
Really?
There was nothing more creative about their ideas. And they also didn't come up with like a huge additional number of ideas either. Like the number of ideas was pretty stable between people. What they found is that it seems like people who are stoned are just more likely to find things creative. They're just more likely to find things more novel and creative. It's like you're saying. It's like you said, it kind of makes everything, it makes all the senses feel like, oh, things are a little better.
Yeah.
So people who are joyful are more likely to come in less stressed and come up with more ideas. They're also more likely to think that the ideas that they hear are better.
Yeah.
But they're no more creative in coming up with ideas.
This seems to me similar to an experience I often have while dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a dream, and in the context of my dream, I will think this is the greatest idea anyone has ever had. I'll have an idea for like a movie script or some concept.
Right.
And in the context of my dream, I'll think to myself, oh, I have to write this down. This is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will wake up from that dream and I will think of the idea that I had from the dream. I will remember the idea and go, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
But in the context of my dream, I had this euphoric sense of accomplishment that the idea was brilliant, but it really wasn't.
I had a dream like that last night, and I had a moment during the dream where I knew I was dreaming, and I was like, this dream's a great story. I've got to write this down. And then I woke up and I was like, that made no sense and it was stupid.
Yes.
That was just a dream, man. That was just a dream, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it is kind of similar to that. They wanted to run a second story or a second study where they wanted to kind of like extend and drill down a little bit more into this sort of phenomenon. They grabbed 140 participants and they were again divided into the same two groups. But this time they used something known as the Sternberg memory scanning task. So instead of completing an alternative uses task, the participants were instructed to complete a work-focused creativity task. Okay, now here's what that means.
Work harder, Sternberg style. Mr. Sternberg, please don't. Just like, it sounds like a cartoon boss name. Yeah. Sternberg.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And so you got to be like, I don't know if Sternberg's running a creative enough office for this to work. But the deal is they were instructed to imagine that they were working at a consulting firm and had been approached by a local music band whose name was
Trying to figure out ways to use bricks.
Yeah. It's completely different.
It's a front for the brick industry.
It's a completely different activity. It's totally, listen, it has nothing to do with bricks. This is about creativity, when you're high or not high. I don't know, man. It sounds like it's about bricks. No.
Come on.
Here's a use for a brick. Bludgeon that guy to death when he figures it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take care of him. Brick style. So they had to imagine that they were part of a consulting firm. They were approached by this band. They named the band File Drawers.
Okay. All
right.
Classic Sternberg.
Imagine, hey, scientists who work in an office all day, imagine the coolest name for a band you can. File Drawers? Bunsen burner? I don't know.
The
clipboards. So the idea is they had to help this band generate ideas for increasing their revenue. They were told their goal was to generate as many creative ideas as possible in 5 minutes. Now, I don't understand what the difference is between the Sternberg, because it's like, what are the uses for a brick? Okay. How does this band make money? Okay. It feels like it's the same kind of thing. I will trust that the researchers know more about this than I do, but it feels very similar in terms of activities.
Maybe because it's applied and it's not abstract. Like there's an abstraction to ways to use a brick, but there's a clear goal with how do we make a band more profitable, you know?
Yeah. But I feel like you could just come up with the same dumb ideas that you always come up with for either one. It's like...
Use the band as a doorstop.
Yeah. Draw a face on the band and make the band your friend, like Tom Hanks. Put the band in your toilet tank so you use less water. These are all the same ideas, but like... I don't know.
Applicable.
So they found that...
The stoned guy was like, just use my last list.
Yeah, just scratch out brick. And put in band, so like vertical band and horizontal band. So the researchers found that cannabis use did not significantly impact cognitive functioning. So they didn't have a problem coming up with ideas or putting things down. They weren't any slower to come up with these ideas than people who weren't high. But they found that participants in the cannabis condition tended to have more favorable evaluations of others' creativity compared to the control edition. So like, not only does...
It's the best idea I've ever heard, Terry. Dude, that's amazing, man.
Vertical band. Terry.
You're a genius, buddy.
Every band I've ever seen has stood on a stage horizontal. Except for
the file cabinets.
Well, I was going to say, except for in real life, those times where people went and saw Rush and Geddy Lee was in a cage spinning around. He was vertically raised above the rest of the band.
Yeah.
I will say that Rush is known as the most creative band with the most lateral thinking that anybody has ever had.
Yeah.
So what they found is not only does being high, and this, I love that we needed a scientist to tell us this, a research group. We already knew this, but it makes things sound more interesting and clever to you when you're high, whether you came up with them or somebody else did.
Yeah.
And so And so what they did find is like, okay, in the sense of the definition of the word, does getting high make you more creative? The answer is no, it doesn't. But does getting high make you more receptive to ideas, less worried about the quality of your own ideas? And does it make you more relaxed and put you into a more joyful state before you complete a task, which could be stressful for you?
Yeah.
And so that answer is yes. And so to me, what they found is they found that it doesn't fit the scientific definition of creativity, but it sounds like it absolutely does help to make you more creative, or more useful, at least in brainstorming and creative tasks.
Yeah, it seems like, if this notion that we all have of the stone person, hearing like, whoa, ROAD, that scene from Tommy Boy, ROAD. You ever heard that word? Is weird. ROAD.
Yeah.
Just that notion of hearing something or thinking about something that you wouldn't normally think about, but thinking about it in a fresh way, because you're messed up. You're stoned, and your brain is.
And you're not self-censoring your dumb ideas.
Right. And it's more fun, as you said, because you're in that heightened state. You're in this more pleasurable experience. It's more fun to walk down that rabbit hole, it's thinking itself is a pleasurable activity.
And I think one of the biggest hurdles to doing creative stuff is exactly what we were talking. We woke up, we had these dreams that were like, there was something about this dream where we were like, this is brilliant. And then we woke up and we're like, no, that was stupid.
Yeah.
That also highlights something else that people will tell you all the time when they work in a creative field, which is the toughest thing to get rid of is your own self-critic.
Right.
Which is what you have to get rid of.
Yeah.
You have to, during a certain stage of the creative process, you cannot think that anything that you've come up with isn't valuable. You have to believe in what you have to be comfortable, and you have to believe in what you're coming up with, and you have to trust your ideas, which is the hardest thing in the world, and trust the ideas of other people, which is double hard, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes somebody's explaining an idea and you're like, well, I don't know what you're saying, and this doesn't sound right, and it sounds like it's a little off topic and blah, blah, blah. Whereas like the best attitude to have in a group brainstorming session is like, okay, well, hold up. I don't understand what you're saying, but there's something that you're vibing on. Could it be this? Could it be that? You know what I mean?
Right. Or as when they talk about, writing anything, screenplay, a novel, whatever it is.
A list of bricks.
List of bricks, whatever you're writing.
Yeah.
The band names. Often the advice is during your first draft, just get it out. Just write it and don't look back at what you've written. Just write for it. And then the second draft is where you start, critiquing what you've written. But if you sit down every day and you read back all the stuff that you've written before and you start editing that, then you start, oh man, this isn't good after all. And then you don't finish. Instead of getting it all out, just getting the idea on paper before you start critiquing it.
Yeah.
I think that's one aspect of this, of that we're talking about, that sense of the self-censoring.
It's really funny. This made me think of something that's been going around on social media for a little while this week, which is there's this clip of Reese Witherspoon talking about how during Walk the Line, she was calling every day. She was calling her agent. She was calling her lawyer. She was calling the studio. And she was like, you have to get me out of this movie. I can't be in this movie. She was waking up every day and she was going, I'm doing this movie wrong. I'm wrong for this movie. This is bad. I shouldn't be in this movie. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's what she won the Oscar for that. Like that's the year that she won the Oscar. And there's something to getting rid of this inner critic, getting rid of this negative thinking, getting rid of, like you're saying, like you just got to put it on the page. And if it sounds weird and dumb to you, that's fine. Sometimes things sound weird and dumb to you. That doesn't mean anything. Sometimes things sound weird and dumb to you because you're scared. And that's what she says at the end of the clip. She's like, I was just scared. She was like, I'd never done anything like that. And I knew and I saw it getting all this attention and I knew that it was going to be big. And I was just like, oh no, this is going to be so big and I'm going to be so wrong for it and people are going to see. And it's like, look, if getting high makes you not think that, which, hey, I'm not saying Reese Witherspoon was high during Walk the Line. I'm just saying the signs are there.
Yeah. I mean, do you think then that the entire process of this study is not useful? I mean, it feels like they, on paper, prove the opposite of what we're taking away from it. Right?
No, I don't know that. I don't know because I think we're saying the same thing, which is it certainly puts you in a state where it frees you up to be, where it could free you up to be more creative, even though it doesn't seem to have measurable effects. Now, it could be that the people in that group, I don't know, like when it comes down to doing something creative that has some stress to it, that's not like, hey, you're just here for a study, think up a bunch of uses for bricks and we'll get you high and we'll give you $50. You know what I mean? Like there's extra outside pressures and things like that, where I think if it does make people feel like they could be like they could be more creative, or they are more open to creativity, I think that is a bit of the same thing. And one thing that the team at the end of the study said is like, hey, there are some things that we need to specifically study, which are the connections to things that are more that are more in tune with like the visual arts, or with music, or with things that are more directly creative.
Right.
They said there's a lot more studying to be done, because these take two very limited views of they're types of creativity, but they're not the only types of creativity. Sure. And even though they didn't seem to have measurable outcomes, what if the measurable outcome is just, it makes you more into the sort of person who isn't afraid to get into creative situations, or makes you somebody who's easier to work with in creative situations.
Or even, as you said, just sort of that relaxation that is key to allowing your brain to go places it needs to go.
Now, we will say that, like, even with that relaxation, they didn't come up with measurably more or better ideas.
Right.
But hey, if it makes you less stressed and makes you more likely to put yourself into creative situations again and again and again, I would argue that it does kind of, in a way, make you a more creative person, because then you're not avoiding creative thinking situations.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also don't want people to, like, I think a takeaway from this for those people who are like, well, I need this to be creative, right? I need this substance to make me more creative. We can look at this study and go, no, you do not.
I think that's a great takeaway as well. Yeah.
You need to look at this and say, okay, there's something that makes you feel a certain amount of anxiety, or a certain amount of self-censoring or negativity that gets in your way.
Right.
But you are no more creative on this. What it's doing is it's making you feel better about yourself. And that's something that you need to look at.
That's interesting. Yeah. You know, the other thing I'd love to do is audit the team that was rating the creativity of the answers, right? Because they said that was it 400 people that were...
It was 430, which I have to say, 420 was right there. You literally had to pass it to get to where you went.
Yeah.
And it feels like...
We got 420 participants. You know what we're doing. We should get 10 more. We can't
publish. We can't publish. No one will take us seriously. And it's like, at the same time, I would be like, no, that's exactly why we have to do it. We have to dare them to say it to us. But no, you want to audit this team for what? To see how creative they are?
I think the reason you have so many is to try to diffuse some of that bias, or whatever the bias might be, bias in, or just sort of, you have such a wide range of ratings that it sort of evens out that bell curve of whatever the bias in judging creativity may be. And so I think that's a point to the study, in the sense of, it's not just three people sitting in a room going, that's creative, that's not creative, that's creative. It was hundreds of people. So it evens it out. It spreads that opinion out over lots of different people. That said, I'd still love to see what was widely considered a creative use for a brick, and what was widely perceived as a not creative use for a brick.
Well, I can tell you that they said the most creative one that they found was vertical brick.
That tracks. That tracks.
I think this is a good reminder for me, especially that a lot of the issue, creativity is something that we deify, I think, a lot.
Sure.
And we're always worried, like, am I creative? Am I not creative?
Right.
Am I more creative when I'm like this? Does this routine make me more creative? Does using this substance make me more creative? Does getting up at the right time or the wrong time make me more creative? And I think it's important to note from this study, for me, is like, honestly, what's probably getting in my way is all of those thoughts about whether I'm creative enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a mysterious thing, creativity. And we've done a number of stories on the show over the years about trying to scientifically approach creativity. And it's always slippery, right? Because, there's that notion people say of, oh, there's something that is working through me. I'm not doing it. I'm sort of just this conduit of the idea.
Right.
And I have certainly, I don't believe that necessarily, but I've certainly had that experience. And I suspect you have too, of an idea arriving in your mind fully formed.
Yes.
Like you didn't work at it. You didn't whittle at it. It wasn't like a seed that you then built, which, I've had that experience too. But there are some times when an idea will just land in your head. You're just like, oh my gosh, this fully formed concept of a thing came from somewhere. It wasn't because I was watching something and I thought of an idea similar. It was just out of the blue, this thing that arrived fully formed in my head. And so there's this mystery to why that happens or where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably the idea that I had that was the most like that was you put a brick into my dog's bed. And it freaks my dog. It freaks out my dog because my dog's like, what is this thing doing in my bed?
Brilliant. Fully formed.
That came out of nowhere. That was just like, I bet this is going to freak out my dog. And that's funny.
You were just a vessel, a conduit through which freaking out your dog acted,
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
I'm kind of a genius. You can let us know what you think about this and what do you think about this study? What was your takeaway? Because I do think that they proved that in a way, getting high does make more people creative, but it's not for the reasons they think. That's what I think. And my personal takeaway is that the people who think that they need to get high to be creative need to look at this and think about, is that true? Or am I just getting in my own way? I don't know. Let us know what you think. You can reach out to us on Twitter. We rarely answer. Twitter's so bad. I'm at A Carboni.
I'm at Jim Carboni. We'll plug it anyway, though.
We'll plug it anyway, man. We'll get those numbers.
Yeah, the best way to talk to us, though, I read the opinions of folks in our Discord.
Sure.
We have the We Have Concerns Discord, which you can become a member of for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month. Certainly, that would be a pretty darn good value of all the cool folks, the coolest folks the folks who listen to this show, talking about all the ideas that they've come up with for $1 a month. You can find that at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Of course, if you give us more than $1 a month, there's even cooler perks, extra bonus content for this show. Check it out on Patreon, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Like a regular band, but vertical.
Vertical band. Yeah. Brilliant.
Whoa. Was the best band ever Vertical Horizon?
Is that a band? I never heard that band.
She's everything you want. She's everything you need. She's everything inside of you that you wish you could be.
She could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.